Joining us now, former Arizona sheriff and current candidate for the United States Congress, Republican Mark Lamb. Sheriff Lamb, thanks for being here. We were going to talk about what's going on in Arizona, the Supreme Court, but before we get there, this shooting involving an ICE officer and this 37-year-old woman, what are you seeing in that event that catches your eye as a lawman?
Well, what catches my eye is this is a justified shooting. Look, first of all, these people are activists. They continue to get in the way. You know, this mayor wants to claim that ICE is the one causing the problems. ICE is doing the job that Congress and the federal government has set forth for them. They're removing the people that came into this country illegally. And as you put, this was under the Biden administration. Then you have these people that show up and continue to condemn that and get in the way. And then this lady tried to take her vehicle and use it as a weapon towards them. Contrary to what anybody else may say, this is a justified shooting. That guy feared for his life, his physical well-being, and he had every right to use lethal force in that situation. What would have prevented this if that lady would have stayed home and allowed our federal agents to do their job?
Yeah, and when federal agents approach a car, it's a very unknowable set of facts with the driver, with what might be in that car. Talk a little bit about what might have been going through those agents' mind as they were confronting someone that was getting in the way of the administration of justice.
Well, you can clearly see her vehicle is placed in such a way that is blocking the street. When one of the guys gets out, approaches the car, like you said, you don't know what she's got in there. She clearly is not okay with what ICE is doing because she was condemning ICE per what Minnesota officials have said. So they said she's a good person, but she was out there condemning ICE. Then she takes her vehicle, puts it in drive, while an officer, an agent, is standing in front of that vehicle. Either he's going to get run over, which could hurt him, long-term physical damage, or potentially kill him. And that's the requirement for lethal force. Look, I don't want to see the loss of life. I wish this mother or this woman, daughter, wouldn't have been there and lost her life. But that agent has every right to go home safely to his family. And he was doing his job, a job that has been set forth, like I said, by Congress. Now they can decide, Walt says, oh, we're going to look into this and we're going to ensure there's justice. Look, under the Sixth Amendment or under the Supremacy Clause, they have the right to be there. They're doing their job. And so anything that the state would do is going to be qualified or is going to be covered under the Supremacy Clause.
You know, Sheriff, you mentioned the Minnesota mayor, and while we support the right to protest, an active ICE enforcement action is no place for a protest, obviously. And when we have politicians like Mayor Fry and Governor Walz demonizing ICE, calling for resistance against the Trump administration's immigration enforcement efforts, don't you think that puts people in danger, whether they're the sympathetic protesters or the law enforcement officials?
Well, first of all, this is the same mayor where we're now finding out billions of dollars of fraud have occurred in the same community. This man goes out and speaks Somali language to all the folks there. So I got to question what a role he played in all of that fraud. But and then you go out and he's actually encouraging this type of behavior to stand up against them. The First Amendment doesn't mention protest. It says that you have the right to peaceably assemble to redress grievances with your government. If you're out there trying to run over agents, I'm sorry, that's not covered under peaceably assembling. And this group, this hate and violence that continues to come out from the left. And Matt, you know this as well as I do. Many of these folks are paid agitators, groups, activist groups that are actually paying people to show up and get in the way of ICE agents to make it impossible for them to do their job. And Americans need to stand up and say, we've had enough of all of your hateful, violent protests. Let our agents do their job and remove these folks that are in this country illegally breaking the law.